As mentioned above, both these crimes shared an identical weapon, and the man who was charged with carrying this weapon was a 6'2", 300-pound Crip gang member who was to be treated with respect wherever he went, and even to this very day, the real OGs know this name, the name of Stanley Tookie Williams III. Stanley Tookie Williams was not your regular run-of-the-mill street gang member. See, Tookie, as he was regularly called, was the co-founder of the Crips, and in the late 1970s was the largest street gang in the United States. Months after these horrific crimes transpired, Stanley Tookie Williams III was charged with all 4 counts of murder, plus the 2 robberies. Just food for thought. It is said the first crime involving the convenience store attendant, Tookie was guilty of that crime. There were rumors that he went back to the neighborhood bragging about killing the convenience store attendant, even though Tookie himself denied his involvement. But the second crime, however, involving the homicide at the hotel, there were suspicions that Tookie was actually set up, check this out, by members of his very own gang. That just goes to show, you gotta be careful, because sometimes it's the people closest to you that may cause you the most harm. Nevertheless, and unfortunately for Stanley Tookie Williams III, he was convicted of all 4 murders, plus the 2 robberies, and was sentenced to death and placed in San Quentin State Prison on April 20th, 1981. If questions are circulating as to why I chose to resurrect this story and highlight this particular individual, Tookie Williams, along with these very tragic moments in history, it is because history has shown that most individuals who receive this death sentence, some become more violent, some take the lives of others, some take their own lives, some just exist until they meet their fate, but not Tookie Williams. See, after Tookie's conviction, he realized he had made some significant errors, and he was determined that he was going to do some good, and he was going to do his very best to right some wrongs, and he was going to start in his very own community. While in solitary, Tookie Williams began reprogramming his mind and developed a strong relationship with God. And after 6 years in solitary, when he was allotted free time in a sense, Tookie would choose to use his voice to help the inner city youth in his community.
Florida.
Hi, Mr. Williams.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Marianne.
Hello, Marianne.
Hey, my question is, your book talks about transformation. How do we know it's sincere?
My work speaks for itself. I'm not trying to convince anyone of my transformation. I know I have changed. God knows I have changed. And the individuals who are listening to my voice should be able to detect that I've actually made a transformation.
What caused you to change?
It took years and years for me to experience a change. I started off reading a lot. It opened up a new world for me, and in time I developed a conscience, and I was no longer filled with self-hate.
So my question is, are you afraid of dying or death? Why or why not?
Hey, that's a nice question. I like that. Pretty profound. Well, honestly, I don't want to die, but death is a constant reminder here. It's something that I live with and I can't dwell upon all the time because I have to do what I can in order to write these books.
Wow. Just listening to Tookie speak, you could tell he was an intelligent man, spoke so eloquently. Please lean in, because I don't want anyone to miss what I am getting ready to say. From a jail cell in San Quentin prison, not in the comfort of his own home, in a studio office, or while on a luxurious vacation, this man, Tookie Williams, armed with a renewed mindset and a strong relationship with God, managed to arrange a peace treaty between the Bloods and the Crips, wrote 9 books in which he preached a message of anti-violence, was nominated 4 times for the Nobel Peace Prize, and was teaching inner city youth to avoid joining gangs, all this while being imprisoned and facing death. Now, please hear me clearly. Hear me clearly. I am not condoning the actions of Stanley Williams if he was involved in these above crimes. There will be some, unfortunately, who will attempt to manipulate the narrative and make it seem as though I am praising this man for his accomplishments while disregarding his past criminal history. If he did these crimes, then he had to do the time. Ultimately, what I'm attempting to articulate is this. You and I have at our disposal countless resources that we can use to change the lives of so many, but most of us do what? What do? Come up with the myriad of excuses on why we cannot do something. We have at our disposal computers, tablets, and cell phones that give us the answer to pretty much any question we ask of it. Amazon Prime that will deliver our packages to us same day or overnight if it was priority. Ubers that come and pick us up and take us to our desired location. Social media platforms that give us all a voice to serve the community, the world in some form of fashion, and yet most of us do not utilize these tools for the betterment of our brethren. This man, Tookie Williams, from a 4 by 10 foot cell, managed to arrange a peace treaty between 2 rival gangs and get nominated 4 times for the Nobel Peace Prize, and did it with this. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. Oh, and for those who don't know what this is a payphone. It's usually bolted to the wall. It has a cord on it. You cannot just pick it up, start dialing numbers, hit a green button, and the call goes through. That is not the way this apparatus functions. Tookie Williams spent over 2 decades in prison, and of those 2 decades, he dedicated 18 to 19 years of that time, pouring his life into the community, into our youth, so that they might have a better opportunity than he did. And unfortunately for Stanley Tookie Williams III, he was executed by lethal injection on December 13th, 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here on assignment today to inform some and hopefully encourage others to know God is not done with you. God is not done with you. You have some more work to do. If you have blood still pumping through your veins, if there is air still going through your lungs, then there is still time. Let this man's testimony be an example to you that we serve a God of another chance, and that no matter what you have done, how far you have fallen, how recently you have fallen, you are not beyond God's reach that he cannot use you. I'm going to say that again. No matter what you have done, how far you have fallen, how recently you have fallen, you are not beyond God's reach that he cannot use you. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the earth, to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is loyal to him." 2 Chronicles 16:9. So to answer the question that you have been posing to yourself for so many years, can God still use you? Yes, God can still use you, but I do not believe that is the question that you should be asking yourself. The real question is, do you have a desire to be used by God? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the $1 million question.